Assalamu alaikum. How are you? This is our 15th lecture. In the last lecture, we discussed how to prepare effective business messages, how we can tailor our messages to the needs of our reader and expectations of our reader. We discussed 2 points. Number one, how to define the purpose. Whenever we are going to write, we must define our purpose. What is our purpose? Why we are writing for, right? And we discussed few points that must be kept in mind when we are discussing about our purpose. Then we talked about another important point, and that was to analyze the audience, because audience are very important in our messages, because we have to write our messages for them. So we have to know who they are, what is their level of understanding, what is their composition, and many other points that we discuss. Now we move on to the third point, and that is choose your ideas to include. What are you going to say? For example, when you receive a letter, you read that letter and you have to answer that letter. So you read the letter and you underline the main point that needs to be answered. But sometimes you write messages purely on internal stimuli. I mean, we call them unsolicited messages. These messages that you write to people to inform them or to persuade them or for any purpose. I mean, the basic stimulus is yours. So you have to prepare differently for these types of letter. If you are writing any solicited letter, any solicited message, or you are answering any message, as I just said, that you underline the sentences or the main point of the letter, and then you pick up those main points when you are answering in your first draft. But when you are writing unsolicited letters or messages, then you have to think of that what you have to include. You have ideas and then you write them on paper, on a pad, so that you could know what are you going to write. It's also helpful to go through the documents of your company regarding that matter. Sometimes you may feel that some of your colleagues can be of help to give you some information that you want to include. So you ask your colleague for that piece of information. And sometimes it happens that you talk to the customers or to the reader of your letter before sending him the answer to a certain letter. You want some background, you want some more information. So this is the way we go on to this step when we choose our ideas. So while answering a letter, one can underline the main points to discuss and get the ideas briefly on a pad. If one is writing unsolicited or a complex message, one can begin by listing ideas as they come to mind. Then most important facts can be changed into messages. It is better that the message written to welcome a customer should have some other incentives or policies what the firm offers. So when you are writing your messages, follow these points, that choose ideas that you have to include, read the message, discuss your colleagues, look for the information that you require, that you need from the documents, from the files that are available to you, and sometime you need to talk to your readers. So always consider your reader's viewpoint, be in his place when you are choosing ideas. Read company's documents, the documents that are at your disposal, and you can check them for any information that you require. Talk with your colleagues, customer, etc. I mean, it's better to talk to them instead of giving some incorrect information. Ask your audience for input, and when you are in need, you don't find any information from any other source, it's better to write to your readers for further information. So this is how you choose ideas that you want to send to your readers. After choosing idea, we move on to the next step, and that is collect all the facts to back up these ideas. After the main ideas, the writer speaker should ask himself what specific facts, updated figures or quotation he needs. The knowledge of the company's policies, procedures and product detail is necessary for an effective communication. So when you have chosen ideas, now it's your duty or it's time to collect the information. So you need to know specific information. For example, if you are quoting prices of your product, it's better to make it double check. If you are totaling any figures, it's better to double check. If you want to ask for any policies, it's better to recheck. Sometimes you need to make research. For example, if you are writing a report and you've been asked to investigate certain issue, so you go into the matter and probe into the matter, look for certain details, and then you write the messages. So picking up facts from the right source is also very important. So whenever you complete your messages, always be sure that the information or facts and figures, the prices and anything that you are quoting is correct and there is no misunderstanding. Because if you fail to do anything, if you fail to pass on any correct information, you know that it can bring back very disastrous result. So always follow this guideline. Be sure the information is accurate. Be sure the information is ethical. It's very important that whatever information is being sent, it is very ethical and it is subject to our moral self, our moral bindings, right? So be sure the information is pertinent. The information that is being given is also relevant to the main idea that you are writing about, and select appropriate channel. We have channel, we have oral channel, we have written channel. In written channel, we have letters, we have memos, we have reports, we have proposal, and we use electronic media or other medium to send our information. And if we are talking to somebody, then we have channel of face-to-face, telephonic conversation, video conferences, or etc. We have already talked about different channels. So these are 5 points that we must consider when we are planning our messages. This is the preparatory stage of our messages. In this stage, we first of all define our purpose, that what is our purpose, why we are writing any message. Then we think of our audience, who is going to read our messages, and what type of people they are they professional or they layman or whatever they are. Then we go on to other steps. We choose our ideas and then we collect all the facts which are necessary to convey our messages. Then we come to the 5th point, that is to make an outline or to organize our messages. Here we have a very grave responsibility, and that is that we must bring all those facts that we have collected in such a way that is very logical, and that all the message that we want to convey is conveyed in a very orderly manner. Here we come to another aspect of these planning steps, and that is, as I said, organization. Whenever we are going to think at this stage, very first thing that we must think of is that whether our message is favorable or unfavorable. Whether we are communicating some good news or we are persuading somebody to act as we want him or her to do. So here we talk of organizational plan. We have two organizational plans. One is direct and the other is indirect. To one we call deductive approach and to other we call inductive approach. So let's look at these two approaches, these two organizational plan separately. First of all, we begin with the direct approach or deductive plan. When you think that your message is favorable to your reader, when you think that you have some good news to convey, when you think that your message is neutral, I mean, you want to exchange some information that is a routine information, in that case, you will be picking up direct method. In direct method, we start our messages with the main idea in the beginning. Then follow-ups the explanation, and then we end our messages with motivation to action. So these three steps are used when we want to convey some message which is favorable with the reader. The reader finds it informative. He finds it as some piece of good news, etc. So let's have a look at it. Direct request plan. So in the beginning of your messages, you state the request or the main idea. And secondly, you give necessary desirable details for easy reading. And third, close with a cordial request for specific action. I mean, what action you want the reader to take. So this is a very simple letter, simple message. You have an idea, you have to write a message and you convey the message in a very simple manner. So let's look at a message. Dear sir, we intend to purchase a new office copier. We would like to consider an BHP copier and wonder if you have a model that would suit our needs. So you see that how the main idea is given in a very frank, candid, honest way. The main idea, the main statement is given. So you know that your reader wants this information. So let's look at the explanation part of the message. Our office is small and a copier would generally be used by only 3 secretaries. We run approximately 3,000 copies a month and prefer a machine that uses regular paper. We rarely need to run off more than 25 copies of any one time. So you look at this, it gives easy reading to the reader. I mean, what a reader wants to know about the requirement of the sender of this message is included in this message. I mean, how smoothly the writer has given information to the reader that what he wants in his answer. So now it's time to end the letter, and he says, we would also like to know about your warranty and repair service. We hope to hear from you soon. So this is a letter in which we state the main idea in the beginning, then follows the explanation, and the third para or the last of the message has something for action. I mean, it is ended in a positive way for some specific action. In this letter, the writer wants that information regarding this copier must be sent to the writer as early as possible. So, these types of message are very easy to write. The only thing is that you must know that this message is favorable with the reader. Most of the time when we have to write messages, the problem that we face is that how to explain, how to begin a message. And this creates problem. We spend time thinking over that how we should say something. If we write any message using this technique, main idea in the beginning, explanation and we can very surely write very effective messages. So, we are using direct approach or deductive approach when we know that our messages are favorable with the reader or they are neutral, when we are seeking some information, when we are giving some information, or when we are exchanging any information of any type which is favorable with the reader. Sometimes we write messages in which we have some good news for the reader. So, good news messages are also planned on the same approach, that is direct approach or deductive approach. What is the guideline for this? Let's have a look at it. We begin with the best news or main idea in the beginning. Similarly, best news or the main idea is given in the beginning. Then comes the second part, explain necessary and desirable details with any helpful material. I mean, what is necessary to explain that good news is included in the second part of the letter. And then comes the third part, and positively and friendly, stating clearly the desired action and offering any further help. Give date of action if necessary. So, this is how we write good news messages. So, let's look at a good news message. Dear Mr. Gul, in a courier service, I'm sending you 6 copies of our catalog, Prime Gifts. I'm very pleased that you want to circulate it. I mean, you are giving some good news. I mean, somebody asks you for some copies of your organization that you print and you are sending them. So, you are sending good news. The good news can be of any type. For example, if we are answering adjustment letter, complaint letter, when we are granting adjustment, so that letter is also a type of good news letter. So, in the second part of a good news letter, you give detail, like the catalog explains everything, but I do want to say that for quantities of 20 or more gifts, we offer an attractive discount. So, here you give more information to your reader, and your letter with a positive, friendly close for some specific action. Please let me know if I can be of help in other ways. So, this is a good news letter. These letters are written on direct approach. But in a business situation, you do not always write letters which have some favorable reading material for the reader. You come across such situation in which you have to write letters which are not conveying any favorable information to the reader, or the reader is not ready to read. So, you have to make him read your information. For that matter, we use indirect approach when we know that our messages may upset our reader. We use indirect approach or inductive approach. If you think that your message might upset your reader or listener, you use the indirect plan to ease your audience into the part of your message that shows that you are fair-minded and eager to do business with them on some other terms. This approach consists of 4 parts. So whenever we have some bad news and we want to bring our reader into a friendly frame of mind, into a frame of mind in which he is ready to listen to us, to read to us, we use this indirect approach. And in indirect approach, the letter is planned in a different way. We have 4 parts for this message. Number 1 is a buffer. Number 2 is explanation of your decision supported by reason. Number 3 is negative decision tactfully expressed or understood with helpful suggestions. And number 4 is a helpful, friendly and positive close. For example, if you have to refuse a credit letter, I mean you've been asked to give credit, to extend credit with a certain organization, and after having an investigation into the matter, into their financial standing, you come to know that it's not the time to extend this facility. So you write a letter refusing, but you want this to keep your goodwill. And to keep your goodwill, you have to answer in such a way in which your reader accept this fact and in which he thinks that you are really in his favor. So writing such letters is always very difficult and requires some expert to deal with and requires a lot of thinking. It's very easy when you are writing direct messages. You have some information and this information is required somewhere else. But here the reader is not expecting this information, or he is not ready to listen to it. So you have to write these message in this guideline. So you start your letter with buffer. In buffer, you write a statement which brings your reader to accept what you are going to say in the further message. For example, you are refusing an order letter. So do not refuse the order letter in the beginning. First, share with the reader that you appreciate his interest in your product or in your services. Similarly, if you are not giving any adjustment claim to in response to any complaint letter, again begin your letter appreciating the position of the sender of the message and appreciating his bringing that point to your notice, and then explain by and by why you are not able to accept complaint of the writer of your letter. So let's have a look at this letter, which is written on inductive approach. Dear Mr. Hassan, you are right to expect high quality merchandise from the automatic door company. We try to give you the best for your money and to stand behind our products when they fail as a result of defects in material and workmanship, as our warranty states. Look at this first paragraph of a message of a letter. In this first paragraph, the writer of the message has not refused the request or declined the request of the reader of the message. Basically, he is bringing the reader to a frame of mind in which he will accept whatever the writer of this message say to him. So these type of beginning of messages are called buffers. We'll discuss these buffer later on, the types of buffer that we can use to include in different types of messages that we write on this approach, and you'll see that how effectively we can convey our messages. So after the buffer, we come to the second point. In second point, we need to give explanation about our decision that we are going to take. Here it's very important that we must have chosen the required information. We must have collected all the required facts, figure, whatever is required to include the message. So that's why we talk about the planning steps. So look at this point. We appreciate your sending the door opener to us for analysis. It appears that the opener has got wet. Excess moisture over a period of time caused this defect. Our service manager estimates that cleaning and repairing your door opener would cost rupees 259. So you look at this point that the writer of this message has very vividly explained the situation, that why it is not possible to extend this facility to the reader. All the facts are gathered here. The report from the repair department workshop is also referred to here. And in one way, if you look at the last sentence of this paragraph, that your door could be repaired at a certain cost. So look at the last line, in which the writer has very vividly explained that the request cannot be granted. So it's a sort of implied decision. Now we come to the third point of this message, and that is, since your door opener is several years old, you may want to consider buying a new one. We have made many improvements to our door openers since yours was manufactured, including a sealed circuit board that would prevent the possibility of damage from moisture. A new door opener, which costs rupees 3,500 postpaid, should give you even longer service than your old one did. So these lines, the writer has given his decision that no request can be granted. Besides, he has used this opportunity to include resale material to it, to introduce another product of it, to tell the reader that they have been consistently over the improvement of their product, and now they can serve their customers, the user of their product, in a better way. So in the last we have, please let us know whether you want us to repair or replace your opener. So here we give some end to it, a positive end to it, a friendly end to it, asking for some action. So this is the indirect approach. In indirect approach, we use 4 points. The number 1 is buffer, and number 2 is explanation, number 3 is decision stated or employed, and number 4 is a friendly close. So this is one type of inductive letters. As we have 2 types of messages for direct plan, simple requests and good news message. So similarly, in indirect approach, we have 2 types of messages which carry some bad news, and messages which are persuasive messages. Persuasive messages are those messages in which we want our reader to act according to our wishes. So as good news plan is similar to direct request plan, so is persuasive plan to bad news plan. Persuasion is the attempt to change a reader's attitude, belief, or action in your favor. This plan is used to influence the reader who may resist otherwise. One way to organize persuasive messages to the IDA plan, which is of 4 stages. So you see that these messages are basically written to influence the attitude, the beliefs of our reader. We want to persuade our reader to take some certain action. All the sales letter are written on this pattern, because we want to sell our ideas, our services, our product. So this guideline is very effective for messages in which we want to influence our reader. We say that there are 4 stages of such messages. Number 1 is attention, number 2 is interest, number 3 is desire, and number 4 is action. What is attention? In the attention stage, you convince the reader that you have something interesting or useful for him. In this stage, what we do is that we tell that we have something interesting or useful. Just think of any advertisement. What does the advertisement say? Why do you look at an advertisement? Basically, it's tell you that there is something good for you. There is something useful for you. So that advertisement is also having all these 4 stages, because it first attracts your attention by telling you that it has something very useful for you. Then when you are convinced about this, that this certain message has something useful for you, the writer of the message takes you to the other step, and that is interest. So in interest stage, you explain how your message is related to your reader's needs or desire. You explain why the message is related to him. So at this stage, basically, you explain something about the product, why it is related to him. So then you move on to 3rd stage, and in 3rd stage, you arouse a desire in your reader. You arouse a desire by convincing him that the offer is very useful for him. The offer of anything, service or any product is very useful for him. And to arouse the desire in him, you convince him with some testimony. For example, if you are writing a message which has some product regarding your teeth, so maybe a dental doctor is included into it. So this is the place where the writer of such messages arouse desire in you by convincing you with some testimony, with some authority, with some statistics, some figures, satisfied user of that product. And then comes the last stage of this letter, and that is action stage. In action stage, the writer wants the reader to take some specific action. So maybe the ending passage offer you some discount, or tell you that that you must take some action between a specified period. So this guideline is used for persuasive message. Let's have a letter on this organizational approach. Dear friend, the most comprehensive selection of Qaid-e-Azam speech, public writing and private letter ever published. So if you look at the beginning of this sentence is eye-catching. This attracts the attention of the reader. All those readers who are interested to read something about their leader, the Qaid-e-Azam, they'll be keen, they'll be desirous to read such thing. So the writer of the letter has captured the attention of the reader. Now he wants to create interest. Qaid-e-Azam was not only the founder of Pakistan but also a great orator. So maybe you have something in your mind to know about oratory, to know about a great reader. So here the reader's wishes are related to the product or the services that the writer want to sell. Then some testimony. Here are all the Qaid's speeches from the early days in his politics, including all his addresses to the students of different institutions. It includes Qaid's personal and political correspondence. Above all, here is Qaid's absolutely distinctive language, resonant with dignity, wit, and uniquely patriot flavor. So look at this paragraph, these lines, how the writer of the letter has tried his best to convince the reader to buy this book by elaborating his point regarding the main idea. Write today for your copy of the book. You will be awfully glad. So, if you look at these things, you come to know that these guidelines are very effective for you. Anyone who wants to prepare messages which are effective, communicative, concise, courteous, and having all the qualities that one wants to put into his messages are there. After these 5 points, we come to another stage. I mean, this is in fact the pre-writing stage, the brainstorming stage. We can say that what we do before coming practically to the writing stage. So here, after going through all these points, now we have to start writing our messages. For starting our messages, we also need to think of two most important things, and that is the beginning and ending of the messages. That how the messages should be begun and how they should be ended. These two things are also very important, and they must be learned at this very stage. The way you begin your message makes it clear whether your reader will respond favorably or unfavorably to the message. When you are sure that your message has something favorable or neutral for the reader, you must begin your message with the main idea or good news in the beginning. The opening must be impressive in a way that it captures the attention of the reader. So always choose appropriate beginning that suit the purpose of your message. The following openings are desirable in direct request, good news, and neutral messages. So whenever you are going to begin it, you have to take care that your beginning should be very impressive, because it is the place where you capture the attention of your reader. If you are successful in capturing the attention of your reader, it means that your messages are going to be very successful. So always follow these guidelines. So let's look at one beginning. Main idea: the goods which you ordered on March have been sent to you by passenger train. So you look at this, it has main idea in the beginning. What we are talking about, instead of beginning your letter in a roundabout way, in a circular way, you start your letter with the main request. This is what we've been talking about, that if your message is favorable with the reader, start your message with the main request. So this is one example of main request or main idea. Let's have another beginning which has main request. So that your order can be filled promptly, please send us another copy of the requisition. For example, you have received an order and there is some problem with the requisition sent. Instead of pinpointing what was the mistake or what is not understandable, you begin your letter with the main request, so that your order can be filled promptly, please send us another copy of the requisition. So when you know that the person reading your letter is waiting for your reply, or the reply is favorable with him, don't waste your time in beating about the bush. Start it with the main idea or the main request. Or when you have to make an announcement, again start it with the main idea. Now you can take an air-conditioned coach from Lahore to Islamabad any hour of the day. So this was the announcement that you want to make, and you have started your message with the announcement. Whenever required, employ 5 W's and 1 H to give clarity to your message. As we discussed and when we were discussing principles of the communication, especially in the principle of completeness, that always check 5 W's and 1 H. So 5 W's and 1 H should be checked in the first paragraph. So bring main request or main idea in the beginning and check 5 W's on and 1 H in the information you are going, to whom it's going, where it's going, when, etc. on, and how it's being imparted. When you are writing your messages on indirect plan, you are using buffer. So look at one example in which a poor buffer is used. For example, it is not possible to open your account unless you send us the following information. Somebody has requested you to open an account with your bank or etc. organization, and some of the information is lacking. If you look at this, you are not opening the account of the reader of the message, but the way information is being passed is negative. It is not possible to open your account. So you begin your letter with a negative word, not possible. So whenever you are writing it, think of a buffer, and with a better statement we can achieve our purpose. So you can revise it and write it in this way. The moment you send us the following information, your account will be opened. So if you compare the first opening and this opening, you will yourself know the difference, that first opening was a negative statement. It would create anger in your reader. He would feel humiliated. But in the second statement, he will find that he hasn't been able to pass on the proper information. So buffer can be very helpful. It brings your reader to certain frame, to that frame of mind in which he believes that you've been very fair-minded. Whatever you are saying is on the basis of fair play. So look at another poor beginning. We never exchange damaged goods. I mean, you received a complaint letter and you are answering that letter with such a sentence: we never exchange damaged goods. So if you want to say no, do say it no, but not the way you are saying it here. You can improve this statement with a good buffer. We are happy to exchange the merchandise that is returned to us in good condition. I mean, there is a hell of difference between two statements. One conveys completely a negative meaning to the reader, and the other giving the impression to the reader that the writer of the message is a fair-minded person. So using proper beginning in your messages can make you a winner, or otherwise, if you do not choose, it can make you a loser. So in persuasive request, as in sales letter or other persuasive letter, we choose very interesting beginning, as I just read few beginnings for you. And when we'll be studying sales letter, you will see that these letters are very interesting to write. It does have a sort of creative writing touch in it, and you have to think hard. You need a lot of information to write such letters. These are very good letter and show that the writer of the letter has a command over the language and over other aspect. So when you are writing persuasive letter, again think of some beginning which is capturing the attention of your reader. For example, don't waste another day wondering how you are going to become the success you have always wanted to be. If you receive such a letter which has this beginning, reading these two lines, you are not sure what is what is this letter about, which type of success it is offering to you. But when you will read these 2 lines, you are certain to read the rest of the letter. So this is the success of such a letter writer, that he has forced you to read whatever he wants you to read. So this is done by using these techniques. So far as the beginning of the letters is concerned, be sure that your beginning is very impressive. It captures the attention of the reader. It has something to capture the attention of your reader. It has something for the reader, right? After the beginning, we come to the ending of the messages. But before coming to ending, I would like to emphasize on one point. Sometimes what happened is that you start your letter with a phrase instead of starting it with a sentence. For example, if you look at this example, reference to your letter of March 6 regarding opening of a current account. If you look at this, it is a phrase. It doesn't have a subject. It doesn't have a predicate. So avoid such beginnings. Now coming to the ending. An effective ending will motivate the reader to act as requested. If no direct request is required, leave the reader with some expression of regard, assurance, appreciation, or willingness to help. Always remember that closing should be strong, clear, and polite. They should leave a sense of closure and goodwill with the receiver. And besides, take care of these guidelines. Make your request clear and complete with 5 W's and the H. Include your phone number and extension if you want the reader to phone you. Enclose a form card, order blank, questionnaire, etc. and an addressed reply envelope. Give complete instruction regarding how and where if you do not include a form or envelope. State your office hours, location, and if you want the reader to come to you in person, do you have a free parking lot, etc., etc. So these ending can be very helpful. Beside that, make action clear. I look forward to hearing from you regarding this matter. If you write this ending, this is a vague ending. It does not give when do you want the action to be taken. So be very positive that you include some action, dated action. So instead of this, if you write, so that we can make appropriate arrangements for your visit, please call me at so and so before Friday, November 16, anytime between 9 a.m. and 5 a.m. So if you look at this ending, you'll find that this ending gives complete information to the reader. Reader knows that what action is required of him to take. So, and on a positive, courteous thought. So this is another important thing, that you end with a courteous tone and a positive tone. For example, I'm sorry we cannot be more encouraging at this time. This is a very negative ending. It could have been a different, showing you that you are very friendly and you are considerate, you are courteous. So let's rephrase this ending and see it. We wish you success in your research for a position. So this gives an impression that you are helpful. You may have not been able to impart the information that was requested to you, but writing ending in this way can show your concern for your reader. So whenever you are preparing your message, be very positive to take care of these guidelines. First of all, you need to define your purpose. Then you have to analyze your audience. Then you have to think of the ideas to choose, the ideas to include, and the outline and organization. And so far as the organization plans are concerned, they are very important. They can help you in writing your messages in a very effective way. If you know message is good or bad, you can choose either indirect approach or direct approach. So there are still few more things to come regarding these preparatory stages, regarding composing, editing, proofreading, etc., that we will discuss in the next lecture. So it's all over for the day. Thank you very much. Khuda Hafiz.